think it's important for you to understand that on most LED products, this is a little bit of a mystery to us here at MaxLite because it doesn't cost much to eliminate this problem, but most dimming LED products on the market that we have tested, the efficacy gets slimmer. It shrinks as you dim. So in other words, if you for simple math, if you have a 10-watt bulb and you dim it to 50%, it should be consuming 5 watts or less. We found that that is not linear in most cases, that when you have a 10-watt and you dim the light level to 50%, your power is at 7 or 8 watts. So the efficacy is trashed. All of MaxLite's dimming LED products maintain the efficacy or increase the efficacy as you dim. We think this is important and obviously a major contribution towards your return on investment. Building automation as well. Whether you want to control 100% of your lights in a given facility from one PC, or if you want to be able to control it from room to room or even from fixture to fixture, you have that capability. Our product is completely compatible with all the controls that are in the market. When people say, well, what is your protocol? Well, we are DMX 512, but we're also compatible with anything that uses 0 to 10 volt dimmers. Our product have their own power supply, so that's not a third-party item that you have to introduce to the product. It's really opens it up to just about every control system out there. For you Leviton folks, nothing against you. We love Leviton products, but in our conference room downstairs, we're using a Lutron graphic eye system with daylight harvesting, and it works fantastic, actually. The changes to the light level are so subtle you could hardly notice them. And it's very interesting to watch these things actually dim throughout the day. Right now it's January in New Jersey. We happen to be fortunate where our conference room is facing a good deal of sunlight during the majority of the work day. And it's very interesting to watch as the system just takes over. So we have a maintained, even foot candle reading on the work surface throughout the conference room, on the table and on the floor. But what changes is the power consumption, which is shrinking and growing as needed. So very rarely, even on the shortest days in the winter months, are the lights at 100% all day long. A little bit about a specific example that's going on. We have noticed that the linear LED T8 is probably the fastest growing category of LED products. It is a bit of a mystery to us lighting folks, where we know that for 100 years we spent a lot of time trying to minimize shadows and trying to have a nice, even illuminated light source. And then we're so eager to spend $60, $80, $100 for a tube that has 40 or 60 individual dots that create 40 or 60 little shadows in a direct light situation, or frankly aren't near enough light for the given application when you're putting them behind a diffuser to eliminate those spots. This example speaks directly to that. This is a real case that happened in the New England area. The baseline was a 3-lamp F32 T8 with a 0.88 ballast, consuming about 85 watts. That particular region, they actually have peak and floating kilowatt hours, but we just rounded it to 15 for a simple demonstration. It is a 24-hour-a-day application, as it is a VA hospital. It's run 7 days a week, and the cost per fixture in this scenario is $9.28 per fixture per month. And they wanted to do something about that. Besides the obvious carrying T8 lamps around a medical facility with the mercury and the phosphorus and the like, the maintenance costs, everything else, but even just for straight energy, they called out to the industry, the local distributors and the like, what can we do? And what they initially were introduced to and were ready to go forward with were a 1-for-1 replacement of a linear T8 LED lamp. This was going to bring their power down to 69 watts from 85. Was going to bring them about $2 per fixture per month savings. The life of this product was rated at 50 to 75,000 hours. I don't even want to get into the lumens, but I will tell you that they were losing at least 20% of the foot candles that they were accustomed to, and in the name of energy efficiency, they were willing to lose it. When we heard about the project, they were ready to go forward with it. We came in with our LED flat panel, combined with occupancy sensors. I want to interrupt myself here briefly to say in this particular application, the hospital had whole sections that were no longer manned. Apparently in the healthcare industry, the number of beds a hospital had dictated the size and the revenue. But these days, the number of beds is almost irrelevant. This particular place does testing and has people coming in and out. Whole sections which were in the past used for housing people for extended stays were not even used anymore. So they only needed minimal lights in this place. So occupancy sensors was a great contributor. They hadn't even considered that. So occupancy sensor brought the wattage down to 72 based on, I'll interrupt myself again. If anyone would like further backup on this particular slide on the calculations for the occupancy sensor, daylight harvesting system, and the like, just make a request through your Q&A here on the side, and we can send that out. Or you can visit MaxLite.com. We had another webinar that was specifically about return on investments, where we got into the intricate details of this particular job. MaxLite.com. And you can see our schedule of past webinars right on from the front page. So continuing back, wattage going now from 69 to 72. Off of the 85 benchmark, you can see that we saved somewhat, but we went further and we added a daylight harvesting system. Brought the average wattage down to 28 watts, a tremendous savings, bringing from over $9 to less than $1 per fixture per month. Now, what did it cost and how did it work? 3-lamp 1-for-1 replacement was 385 fixtures retrofit. It was a $700 a month savings, more or less. With the occupancy sensor and a flat panel, jumped up to a $2,800 a month savings. And combined additionally with daylight harvesting system, it went up to almost $3,300 per month. We're bottom line people in the lighting industry. Let's get right to the bottom line. The cost to retrofit with a 1-for-1 LED stick replacement was going to cost them about $70,000 and was going to yield them a 103-month return on investment. The product itself, frankly, would have depreciated to an unusable point well before that return on investment would have been realized. A occupancy sensor version jumped the cost per fixture for the retrofit to over $500 from less than $200. The project cost would have been just over $200,000, but their return on investment went down to 71 months within the expected lifetime, including lumen depreciation, of the product. By additionally adding a daylight harvesting system, the cost per fixture went up slightly. You don't need a lot of graphic eye systems. They can control hundreds or more fixtures in a single facility. It's just the number of eyes that are required. The project cost about $205,000, and the return on investment falls to just about 5 years. So return on investment is realized with the combination of controls. Now, styles, sizes, and fits. We have the standard 2x4 for standard 2x4 fluorescent, whether it's a 3-lamp or 4-lamp drop-in lay-in. I'd like to spend a minute with you talking about the 2x2. MaxLite has been selling fluorescent tubes, 700, 800 series. You might be familiar with our XL series of T8 linear lamps and our Watt Savers. And our experience dealing with 2x2 and 2x4 retrofit companies for retrofit jobs was that the 2x4 outsell the 2x2 approximately 25-1. We assumed that there would be similar numbers with LED, but in fact, mainly I think due to cost, the 2x2 is outselling the 2x4 several fold. Now with Gen 2 and Gen 3, we are achieving the light levels with 2x2 that compete with 2x4 fluorescence. So we think that this trend of a main line of 2x4s to 2x2 size in your gridded type drop-in ceilings is going to shift to a 2x2. We also have 1x4 hanging decorative pendants in different shapes. We recently have added to the line a surface mount kit where you can take any 2x2, assemble it with the surface mount kit, and it can be mounted to walls and ceilings. We do, as mentioned earlier, have an MRI version. This is basically a version made of non-ferrous materials, in other words, non-magnetic, and has a remote driver. And then for those applications where you just need a remote driver, we have that available for you as well. A little bit about things to look for when you're looking at lay-in fixtures, LED, direct and indirect, 2x2s and 2x4s, is make sure it has UL. Not everyone can say that, particularly on those linear T8 sticks. Most don't have UL. Make sure it meets the national code. I'm very surprised to see how many fixtures come with 2 wires hanging off the back where they expect you just to wire nut your incoming power. I think we all know that that has to be done in an enclosed box. We provide that box. It's built into